Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today our guest is a comedian, actor, and writer. He's been featured in a number of hit movies and TV shows, which we'll get into, and has toured all around the country doing stand-up. Jay Anderson is with us. Jay, how are you doing today?
What's going on, man? Hey, I can't complain. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm glad to have you on the platform, man.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here, man. I know we've been trying to get it together, so I'm glad to definitely be here right now, man, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That this won't be too difficult. It's gonna be a smooth conversation. I promise. I got a good 16, 17 questions for you. And we're gonna go ahead and breeze right through it. All right.
Cool, man. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question that I like to ask all of my guests is a very simple question, but
Mhm.
some might find it difficult to answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. That question is, who is Jay Anderson?
So Jay Anderson is just an all-around entertainer, man. I've been entertaining since I was maybe 5 or 6, from being on dance teams to rapping to stand-up to acting. So I'm just a creative that loves to create, man.
Okay, yeah, you spit a little bar right there, from dancing to rapping to I forget comedy to acting.
Sometimes the bars just come to me like that, man.
Right.
You don't even know it.
Right. All right. So okay, so you're an actor, comedian, and writer, which I stated in the intro, but you've been at this roughly since 2011, according to your IMDb page. You've
Yeah.
been doing this quite some time, but according to you, you've been doing this since about 5 years old. What what drew you into wanting to be an entertainer first? I guess I should say. I should start there.
Um, I don't know, man. Just growing up watching like the Martin Show and Fresh Prince, and just seeing guys like that are just full of character, full of energy, full of life. I would always impersonate those guys. And that's how I kind of started rapping, man. I would just rap songs that I would hear on the radio, and there was this rap team forming at my church that I got into called Young But on Fire at the time. And
Okay.
I don't know, man. I just always loved entertaining and just creating. I grew up in a very creative family, a very musically inclined family.
Mhm.
So that's just kind of all I knew.
Okay, all
Mhm.
right. And then as it pertains to acting, writing, and comedy, um, which one of those did you start at first? Where did you arrive first?
So acting. So my freshman year of college, I was told that I can either take an acting class or a speech class, and I was like, "Well, I'll just take the acting class. We'll just see how it goes." I was playing basketball, so I wasn't really too concerned with it. I was like, "Hey, I'll just try this acting thing," and fell in love with it instantly. You know what I mean? And I still keep up with my instructor to this day. We still chat here and there, but I just loved it, man. And I knew when I finished with basketball, I was gonna move back to Atlanta and really dive in and really start taking classes and taking it seriously. And from through acting came improv, like just through doing the acting classes and having that improv time. That's when I realized that I've always been funny to like my teammates, to my family, to people that I knew.
Hmm.
But during those improv sessions, I realized that I was funny to people who didn't really know me well, and that kind of sparked the comedy lane. And then from there in the class, we started an improv troupe, and we started like traveling and doing shows with improv. So
Hmm.
um, that was kind of like an easy transition into just doing stand up and being on stage by myself.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
was
So
going to ask you a little later in the conversation, but I was going to ask you like, what is that feeling like to be on stage by yourself, especially early on in your career when
mhm.
you're just trying to get your footing and starting to learn how to land jokes and get the crowd involved and not necessarily bomb.
Yeah, yeah. Early on, man, it's definitely you're aware of the risk every night. You know what I mean? This could be a good show. This could be a bomb. So
Right.
it's early on is just is trying to find your voice, similar to like a music artist. Is trying to find your voice, your style, your cadence, your
Hmm.
pattern. Controlling your breathing, all of this stuff, all on stage. And then just seeing what jokes are funny, what works, what doesn't. So a big part of comedy, especially early on, is testing out material and trying jokes a bunch of different ways in front of a bunch of different audiences, and see what you can tweak, see what you can fine tune, and see what you may just need to throw away. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, um, that whole process early on, I mean, it was tough. You know what I mean? It's you got to be a little crazy to
Put yourself out there.
put yourself out there and be okay with being embarrassed, or be okay with it being a tough night, and your comedy homies on your head, and so. But once you start to kind of get your rhythm and get those laughs, it becomes addictive. It becomes like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm gonna go get some laughs tonight. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's so
Absolutely.
it
I-
becomes kind of like a drug.
right. Absolutely. Now, as it pertains to comedy and doing stand up, and if you do happen to bomb, how do you bounce back from that? How does Jay bounce back from that? What do you do to keep yourself confident in those moments, or even after the set, and you realize like tonight was not a good night? The next time I do this, I got to bring my A game, so on and
Right.
so forth. Like, how do you coach yourself back to
Yeah,
back?
it's and I guess when me playing sports, I kind of see it as like a bad game. You know what I mean? Or the whole set might not be a bomb, but like one or two jokes might not have landed like I wanted to. I see it as taking a bad shot. You know what I mean? Or
Right, right.
dang, that shot felt good, but it just didn't. It didn't hit all the way. I know I need to make this adjustment or that adjustment, or
Mhm.
maybe I didn't leave my follow through up long enough. Just so different things like that. I relate everything back to basketball, whether it be acting, stand up. It just helps me because my whole life I just always used sports and basketball to critique certain things, or
Right.
you know um if I don't feel like my stage work was great or something like that, or my crowd work was great,
Hmm.
to me it's kind of equivalent like to maybe I just need to work on my left hand a little bit more. I need to work
Yeah.
on finishing better with my left. So it's like, I just need to work on my crowd work a little more, tweak this or tweak that. So I never take it as a complete L. I just try to figure out ways to learn from it, and figure out how I can make the adjustments so that the next time I tell that joke, or the next time I do this set, it feels better, and it connects with the audience a little better.
Right. Right. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now I discovered you on Instagram via one of your many skits. I love your skits on your channel.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
can you talk a little bit about how skits and sketch work via social media has helped you widen your audience?
Yeah, man. And honestly, just from writing skits, 'cause I've been writing skits and sketches on social media for at least maybe like 10 years or so. So when I
Wow.
first got into stand up, a lot of the jokes that I would try on stage were coming from my sketches. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They were coming from the things that I wrote that I do on social media, and I'll just bring them to the stage. But yeah, social media, man, it helps out a great deal. It's a great bridge between you and your audience. Back in the day, they used to have Comic View and Def Jam and
Yeah.
things like that, where when you hit those platforms, you was big, you was out of here.
Right.
Everybody saw you then. But now it's just like Instagram. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Instagram can be your Def Jam, your Comic View, because people can see you every day and tune in and share your stuff, and you can just build your audience. So that's been helping me a great deal.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And you said you've been writing your skits and sketches for well over 10 years?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what do you look for in a scenario that makes you say, "You know what? I can make this funny. Like I can actually turn this situation into something that people will laugh at."
Yeah, generally it's already funny, and I just say that's a skit. You know what I mean? So it could be whatever. It just throughout the day to day. I'm trying to think of something that I might have said recently was a skit. Um,
Well, just for a perfect example, I love the one where you were playing the director for the reality show.
Got you. Yeah,
Yeah, and you go in and you stop them and you tell, I forget the guy's name. You tell him, he needs to stop eating. He's smacking a little too much in
yeah,
front of
yeah. So that's funny because my wife watches a lot of reality TV.
you.
So sometimes I walk by and I see what's going on, and I'm like, yo, this is so fake. And I'm like, so and so then stormed off, and
Right.
ended up in an area that's perfectly lit. The camera's right there queued up. So in
Yeah.
my head, I'd be like, that's a skit. You know what I mean? And I just try to find a way to recreate, what it is that I envisioned. And I love those videos where when people see it, they feel like I didn't know that somebody else thought that, or I didn't know that
Right,
somebody else
right.
had the same perspective or point of view. So yeah, those are my favorites. But yeah, generally it comes to me just like that. I can be having conversations with my homies and my wife, and I'm like, nah, that's a skit.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you ever looked into potentially doing your own sketch show or having like an ongoing series, or picking one of your characters, the many characters that you portray within your skits and sketches, the ones that end up being the most popular?
Mhm.
Um, have you ever thought of like revisiting that aspect and turning that into like a show or maybe an
Yeah.
ongoing series?
Yeah, nah, I have, man. And it's actually during the pandemic I dabbled. I had my own little show. It was called the Late Night Quarantine Show, where
Okay.
it was pretty much a cross between like a late night show with like a Jimmy Fallon or somebody, and like a Key and Peele or a Dave Chappelle show.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's like on my YouTube and stuff. I only did like maybe 5 or 6 episodes, but within the episodes, I would be talking, on late night style at the desk, kind of doing some bits that would go right into a video. And in each episode, I'd have about 4 videos. So um, that was fun, man. And a lot of people felt like I should have really tried to do something with that, and
yeah.
write it out and try to pitch it to networks and stuff like that. Which I do think about that still from time to time, because I think it was a really creative idea, and it was a lot of fun to do. So that may be something that I spend a block on.
Yeah, and they say that if an idea or a thought lingers in your mind, it's a reason. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, no, for
If
sure.
it's fleeting and it goes away quickly, then maybe it just wasn't as strong of an idea. But
Yeah,
if you constantly keep coming back to that thought, then that's God or a higher power coming back and telling you like you need to
yeah,
do something.
something we need to tap in with. Yeah, no,
Yeah, absolutely,
I agree with that.
absolutely, man. So let's talk a little bit about your acting career a little bit. Within your acting career, you've made some notable appearances in some pretty big movies and TV shows, such as The Fate and the Furious, One Night in Miami, Chicago Fire, The Shy, The Oval, Rap Shit, as well as Judge Me Not, which is a series on All Black.
Mhm.
There are many others that you've been a part of as well. You have an extensive list of features and castings that you've been a part of.
I appreciate
Um, what would you say has been your biggest takeaway or lesson that you've learned throughout the experiences on those projects?
Just always be ready, always be prepared, always come to set prepared.
Mhm.
Um, try, when you're reading over your lines the day before, days before, always try it in different ways. Never just rehearse your lines one way, because you never know what the director is going to feel. You never know what adjustments you may, have to make on set. And the worst thing is to have practiced something one way the whole time for hours and hours, and then there's adjustment that needs to be made, and now you're kind of like so I just try to practice stuff as many ways as possible. Be prepared for rewrites. You get those the day of. A lot of times you just got to roll with the punches, and
Mm,
not be so married to what it was that you've already learned or gotten down pat. um um what else, man? And just and remember to have fun, and like cherish the moment, be in the moment. You
right.
know what I mean? Especially with acting, man, there's so many times where you can be on set a few times out the year, and then there's a lot of gaps where you're not on set. So just cherish those moments when you're on set. And it's, to me, it's no life like set life. So just taking it in, and meeting people, and giving great energy, and just staying locked in.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a memorable moment from any of those projects that I mentioned?
Yes. I'd say the Fate and the Fast and Furious, or
Mm,
Fast Eight. At that time, that was definitely the biggest project that I worked on.
yeah.
And seeing The Rock, for me at first, because I rarely have like you know any kind of just like starstruck moments or whatever. I rarely have those. I'm pretty chill, cool guy.
Mhm.
But when I saw The Rock, man, it was just something about it just triggered the fact in my mind that I've been watching this guy for more than half my life. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
This is somebody who like the only nights me and my sister could stay up late to, you know what I'm saying, from going to bed is when The Rock, did his thing last on WWE and stuff like that. So some of this stuff kind of started playing through my mind, like, dang, this is The Rock right here. Like, this is
Right.
somebody who I used to have the people's elbow and all of that. You know what I mean? He used to say all of his quotables and so that was dope for me, just meeting The Rock. And I just didn't think that it would be like, it wasn't really in my mind headed to set like, oh, The Rock. Yeah, I was just like, yo, man, we got work to do today, and these are the lines, and
Hmm.
this is the situation.
Hmm.
When I seen him, I was like, dang, that's The Rock right there. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a dope experience for me.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's got to be crazy to be on a large set like that with so many stars,
Um,
especially
yeah,
the Fast and the Furious franchise, where
yeah.
the whole cast are stars,
The
really.
whole cast, yeah, yeah.
And just being in the presence of The Rock, Vin Diesel, Tyrese, Luda, all of those guys, um, and just having that feeling like, man, I'm actually here, like.
I'm actually here. Yeah, it makes you feel like we getting there. We getting closer to,
Yeah,
even though that's already living the dream.
right.
It's just like, you're getting closer to where you see yourself as an actor and an entertainer, and it's like, okay, this is a good stepping stone in the right direction. So it was super dope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, would you consider yourself a comedic actor or a comedian that happens to act?
I would say a comedian that happens to act. Mainly because I love doing serious roles too. Like, I love tapping into a role that has real depth, that
Mhm.
that is nothing funny about it. You know what I mean? So just having that foundation of acting, it does help me with comedy, but I still see them very different.
Mhm.
So and I also see where they complement each other, but I would say an actor that's a comedian, because a lot of my acting, cannot be comedic and it'd be just fine. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess my next question would be, if you see yourself in that light, do you ever see yourself stepping away from doing stand up and focusing on acting full time?
Um, Honestly, not really. Only because with stand up, man, it's so easy to just create your own opportunities. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I love about it, especially during times where it's like a writing strike, or it's just things happening on the comedy side. I can
Yeah.
still book shows as a comedian. I can still travel. I can still do my thing and make money on that side too. So um, I feel like even when it comes to the point where I'm working on movies for months and months out of the year, TV shows and stuff like that, I still want to make time to hit the stage, and and it also just kind of helps with my own personal brand as well.
Hmm.
Where even if it's a big show that I'm on, I'm not. It's like, yeah, I'm tied to the show and the show's brand, but also Jay Anderson has his own brand and he does his own thing, and
Right.
he can work whenever for the most part. So
Yeah.
um, and even with stand up, man, I kind of do at the same time. I don't know, it just has so many similarities to theater too. Like, I've done like stage plays, and
Yeah. It really does.
it really does,
Yeah.
just getting that immediate reaction from the audience is something that I loved in theater. And um I don't know, it's just one of those things where you don't get that in film. You know what I mean? Film, you got to
Right.
film it, and then they got to edit it in post production and everything like that. And then by the time it comes out, people probably tell you, "Oh, that was dope, or you did good." But just being on stage and getting that immediate response
Right.
that you did good, or I thought that was funny, or you know what I mean, it does something to you.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could stop doing either. I just really want to be able to do both at a high level.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing about comedians, which, comedians often don't get the respect I feel like they deserve. There's a lot of comedians out there that are our favorites, but um, comedians are truly storytellers at heart. They just tell
Mhm.
it in a funny way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and they know how to get to a punchline. But
Mhm.
sometimes they'll prolong it, and have several callbacks, but
Yeah.
then hit you at the end with the punchline.
Mhm.
Uh, and but not only that, the fact that you guys, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, even with being an actor, but if there's something going on like a writer's strike or acting strike or
Mhm.
what have you, um, you can always rely on the comedic side of things and still be able to, put food on the table and a roof over your head and make money and hustle.
Mhm.
Um, and I also feel like comedians don't get the respect they deserve in that regard too, because you guys do everything.
Yeah.
You write the jokes, you edit the jokes,
Mhm. Mhm.
you promote and market it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You book the venue,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, um, and it's almost like a certain level of survival. You go into survival mode as a
Sure.
comedian,
Yeah.
to in order to make things work, and you work that circuit like no other, and nobody really gives you guys the credit for that because you're pretty much your own full-fledged production all around.
Yeah, no, definitely,
You
definitely, and
know,
it's not easy. So, yeah, you hit that on the head for sure. It's a lot that goes behind the scenes of being a comedian, whether it's social media, social media comedian, on stage comedian. A
right?
lot of times it's both now, and you know, you have to do the social media part to grow the following to be able to get people to come to the shows. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
like you said, the marketing and just constantly putting yourself out there, and then just the fact that you got to continuously write and continuously come up with new material, and
right.
you know, it's a lot, but it doesn't seem like work when you love it, So,
Right, absolutely.
yeah,
But I just feel like a lot of people kind of overlook, like just for the general viewer and comedy goer.
mhm,
We
mhm,
kind of overlook how much goes into a comedy special, or how much goes into, even when you're just doing, you're working on your material in, various nightclubs
mhm.
throughout the country until you get to a point to where you have a strong set.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of give and take, a
yeah,
lot of things, health wise, that you
yeah,
guys go through, the
man.
traveling and the touring, all of
That's a
that,
tough part too, man. When you're dealing with stuff in your own life, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's one of the main things that it's easy to overlook, as far as just a regular consumer of comedy to the actual comedian. It's like, the same way that normal people go through stuff in their own life, we do as well. But our
right.
job is still to make you laugh and try to lift,
Yes.
some of whatever burden, whatever may be on your shoulders. And at the same time, it is like therapeutic for us too. So, um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's definitely a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. I just, that's just one thing that it struck me as odd that comedians don't really get the credit that they deserve.
Mhm.
And then not only that, like even with um, these award shows and whatnot, there really should be a section or category for comedians.
Agree.
You know, um, beyond whatever the generic categories are. I'm sure
Right,
there is a
right.
category, but yeah,
But like you
there's
said, generic. I feel like it's probably just like best comedy.
comedic, yeah, best
Yeah,
comedy or best comedic actor,
right,
you
right.
know, in
Opposed
a
to like
limited
best,
series or in
right,
a yeah.
right. You know what I mean? Like, nah, best comedy special of the year or something like that. It definitely needs its own category for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. They do that for like Grammys and stuff, especially if you make an album.
Hmm.
And they do it in that regard. I don't think it's televised, but
Got
uh,
you.
yeah, they do have those aspects. So I'm
Yeah,
just curious as to why they don't incorporate comedians and things like this as well.
yeah. No,
Um,
that's a good point.
yeah. Now, and we kind of talked a little bit about it. We don't have to really cover it anymore, but I had a question about how grueling life on the road is. If you have any kind of like horror stories or anything that you can kind of tell as to what
Yeah,
life is like when you're on the road.
yeah, man. Honestly, it's not too bad, man. I honestly I enjoy it, especially touring with B Simone and then also cousin Tierra out of Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, it's been great, man. We just seeing a bunch of different cities, touching a bunch of different people in different markets, and you really start to learn like how different people are, how similar people are, um,
Hmm.
what areas, certain jokes work best. Honestly, it's been a lot of learning, man, and I can't really say anything bad about it. Before I got on both of those tours, I did do a lot of traveling without like a headliner, just traveling by myself. And I will say that you're doing a lot of driving, you putting a lot of miles on your whip, or
On your
for
body too.
on your body too. You know what I mean? Just to get to these spots, and a lot of times you're not getting paid. It's just
Right.
I'm just trying to get 5 minutes. I'm just trying to open up for you. I'm just trying to show that I'm worthy
Yeah.
of being on a tour, or I can hold it down if you need a feature or anything like that. So um, that's a big part of it before you get on a tour, is definitely just trying to prove yourself as much as possible to your
Hmm.
your peers, your OGs in the game.
Yeah.
And just hoping that somebody would take you on tour or get you, on the road with them. So, but even that, man, I was enjoying the process.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It was, you know, I don't know. Again, I kind of take a lot of stuff back to sports. You know what I mean? And I just feel like a
Yeah.
rookie that's trying to navigate through the
Mhm.
league, and take my
Learn.
little bumps and
Yeah.
bruises and learn, and soak up as much game as I can from my OGs. And
Right.
um, so yeah, man. Honestly, it's been all learning lessons, but it's been all good though.
Yeah. And you don't have representation. You pretty much do everything on your own, right?
Well, in terms of comedy, well, acting, I have an agent as well as a manager, but for
Okay.
comedy, a good friend of mine, Raheem Holt, he actually helps me with a lot of booking stuff as well.
Mm.
But other than that, man, comedians, most of your jobs you get are from comedians. Probably 90% of the work that comedians get are from other comedians that are
Just who
throwing
you know
shows.
within your circle.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
just,
I was gonna ask you, like, how does one, if I'm an up and coming aspiring comedian and I've only done things local or regional, but I
Mhm,
want to begin to branch out, how do you begin to, um, you know, start to book some of these other
mhm,
venues and then eventually land on somebody's tour, whether you're an opening act or one of the you're not the headliner, but you're one of the
mhm.
openers, you know?
Yeah, man. As a comedian, honestly, the rule of thumb is to stay on stage. So the more you're on stage, even as a local act, you're gonna run into touring acts that come into your city. So places like Atlanta Comedy Theater, Uptown Comedy Corner, spots
Mhm,
like that where you have, guys like Bruce or Marlon Wayans or whoever coming through the city, trying to go up in front of them, seeing if you can get 5 minutes on their show, and, showing that you're funny there. And,
got it.
once you establish yourself, or the word kind of gets around that you're funny, then a lot of comedians will start to put you on more shows. You start to get more opportunities. And
Mhm,
from there, it's just kind of staying in the mix. And it's really like a fraternity. You know what I mean? Just the
yeah,
kind of, it's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. So, once you're in there, and you're rubbing shoulders with the right people and they know you're funny, then it's kind of easier to start getting features here and there. Or, like comedian Double D came to me, he's like, man, I got a show in Florida. You want to come feature? Or Marvin Hunter took me to Alabama. These were some of like my first shows, but this is just off of the strength of them seeing me in these little open mic nights. You know what
right,
I mean? Where
right,
they're going to work on material. They see me work on my material, and they're like, okay, this dude is funny. He got good energy. Let me take a chance on him. So
yeah,
the more you do that, the more chances people take on you, and the more opportunities you start to receive.
mhm. Now, a part of your comedy tour, you recently, was in Washington, DC, here in the DMV area,
Mm-hmm.
on the last leg of your comedy tour.
Mm-hmm.
How did that set go? What's like a can you kind of give like a walkthrough of what life is like when you're getting ready to go on set, and then you finally touch the mic and get started. Like
Yeah.
how does a night with Jay Anderson look?
So, man, really, for me, it's all about the audience. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, I like, while the host is up doing this thing, I just kind of watch the audience, look at like the age range, the
Okay.
demographic. You know what I mean? And that'll kind of help me pick my set, what jokes I'm gonna take, or what jokes I'm gonna take on stage, and what jokes I may feel, this may go over this audience's head, or this one may not be really suitable for this audience. So you look at all of that, and then it's like Friday, like say for instance, we got 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. The
Mhm.
early shows on Friday at 7 o'clock, it may be a bit of like an older audience. You know what I mean?
Right.
Usually the later shows is a bit more of a turned up audience that's,
Yeah.
ready to just have a good time and let their hair down. So
Right.
um, I look at all of that, man. Look at, what the host is talking about. Sometimes you can get information just from the host, figuring out whose birthday it is, or
Mm.
who's celebrating the anniversary, or which side of the room is a little rowdier. Um, so I just process all of that information, and then I hit the stage with that. So
Okay. So you
what I've
you
been doing
kind of
on
learn how to work the room, really.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and with B Simone's tour, I do 25 to 30 minutes. So
Wow.
usually I tell them to give me a light when I got like 5 minutes left, and
Hmm.
that flash a light in the back, and then
Hmm.
I'll do a closer and get on up out of there.
Okay. So they flash a light in the back. And you just kind of
Mhm,
see it in your peripheral or something.
mhm. Yeah, well, depending on, it's usually coming from the DJ booth for the most part. So a
Okay.
lot of times it'll be somewhere in front of you, but they'll flash it on their phone. It'll just be like the phone light, and you'll just kind of
Got
see
it.
a flash. You nod just to let them know I've seen the light. I know I got 5 minutes left, and then usually they'll give you one more flash at the very end just to let you know, all right, cool,
Say,
that's your time.
okay. Wrap it up.
Go wrap it
Wrap
up.
it up, B.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy that's out here running the lights. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Try to respect the light, respect the headline, respect the show, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Have you done your own special?
I haven't.
Are you working on one?
I am working on the hour. I'm working on the hour to do a special.
Okay.
And generally that takes well, like I said, I mean it varies for each comedian, but when you feel like your hour is strong enough, and it's where, like for instance, Kevin Hart, he may do 200 to 500 shows prior to shooting a special. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it really just depends. It's a lot of tweaking going on. It's a lot of taking jokes out, putting them back in, plugging away at it.
Hmm.
But I want to be able to shoot a special by next year for sure, though. That's
Okay.
the goal.
Okay. And have you, so some comedians, not all, but some comedians I've seen have now begun putting specials on YouTube or
Hmm.
on, on the internet, opposed to going with a Netflix or a Hulu or
Hmm.
Amazon Prime or, whatever the case may be. Um,
Yeah.
would you consider that, or are you looking to go straight into one of the streamers to pick up your special?
My idea would be to pitch it first.
Okay.
And if I can't get anybody to pick it up, I feel like YouTube is a good option. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I've seen Matt Rife do it with a few specials, and
Yeah. Nate
so
Jackson.
yeah, Nate Jackson, Ali Sadiq.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's not a bad option. You're gonna get eyes on it for sure. You know what I mean? Everybody has YouTube.
Right.
Is no monthly subscription to where it's like, oh, some people might not have Netflix or Prime or whatever. People gonna watch it.
Right.
So it does put you out there. But I think for me, I would want to try to pitch it first and just have it shot at a quality where is a good possibility that it could be picked up prior to
Sure.
going the YouTube route. But
Mhm.
I do think YouTube is a good option though.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Um, I know I got a lot of comedian questions, man.
Nah, you good.
What are some common mistakes you can make early on as a stand-up comedian?
Mhm. Common mistakes. Little things, man, like hopping right on stage and like sitting down. You know what I mean? Just sitting on a stool, and it's like if you don't have that type of material to where you could literally be seated and still be entertaining, and like that's a craft of its own. You know what I mean? So it's like you want to keep in mind that you are still performing, you are still putting on the show, which there are plenty guys that can go up there and sit down and kill. You know what I mean? But that
Mhm.
takes time. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
um, things like that. Maybe even giving up on a joke too soon. depending on what room you try it in.
Hmm.
There's times where you can try a joke in a room it just may not be a good room that's conducive to comedy. It may be seven TVs on, it may be hookahs all over the place, the game is on, and you're not really getting the true feel of where that joke is. You know what I mean? If it's a good joke or not, if you should continue to work on it or if you should throw it away.
Hmm.
So just trying the same joke in different settings to see if there is something there. You know what I mean? I think it's something because sometimes you can have a really good idea, a good premise, but you're trying it out in front of a room or maybe even a room full of comedians, you know what I mean, where a lot of comedians are not really gonna laugh because we think differently, you know what I mean, is
Yeah.
we work on comedy all day, so it's like something could be hilarious and in our head we just like that was hilarious, you know what I mean, but
Right.
you may not get that audible laugh, so you may not know if the joke worked or not. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. um letting a bad joke get you down or deter you from finishing your set strong. Again, that kind of goes back to like that might have just been a bad shot. You took a bad shot, but you still got to find a way to get back in to get the crowd back involved. Um, so yeah, just not letting a bad joke ruin your whole set.
Right.
Um, let me see. That's all I can think of off the
Yeah.
top.
I was gonna say you gave me some good ones. You gave me some good gems. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um. Now, let me ask you, we've talked a lot about the comedy aspect. Do you have anything coming up next in the acting realm?
In the acting realm, so Straw is in post production. It's my
Mhm.
first Netflix film that I'm in. It's called Straw.
Okay.
It's starring Taraji P. Henson. I think it's gonna be super dope. I hadn't
Okay.
seen Taraji P, so I'm super excited about that. Um, and I want to say it's supposed to be dropping like the top of the year. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what the rollout looks like, and when they start coming out with the trailers and things like that. But
Are you able to tell me what the genre is,
um,
or not?
yeah, it's
Maybe not.
it's it's kind of like I'd say like a drama, like a melodrama.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So you're not. There's no comedic acting in this.
Oh
You're
no,
serious.
I'm very serious in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So my character is Justin.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is probably the biggest thing that I've done so far, acting wise. So I'm super geeked to see how it looks.
Yeah. That's dope, man. That's
Mhm.
dope. I know you're excited.
Oh man, super excited, super
Yeah.
excited. And then another film, Scheme Queens 2.
Okay.
That should be out, I think, in the next few months. I think we'll be doing a premiere at Atlantic Station for that, and that one
Mm.
was super dope. We filmed it in the Virgin Islands for like 3 weeks.
Oh
Um,
wow.
the shots look really good on that one too, as well. The first Scheme Queens, I want to say, is on Amazon Prime, but
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Amazon and it might be one or two other streamers. But
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think I want to say it came out on like BT Plus. I want to say, but
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that one as well. Ernestine Morrison is in it.
Okay.
Um, B. Simone is in it. That's actually where she asked me to be on tour with her while we was filming in the
Oh
Virgin
wow.
Islands. And that was pretty
Wow.
dope too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those two are on the way and just, auditioning and just staying at it, sharpening the craft.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And do you have anything coming up writing wise? Are you working on any of your own films, your own sketches, your own shows?
So right now, writing wise is mainly just the stage right now.
Okay.
The stage is kind of where it's at right now, writing wise, just trying to build this hour, like I said. I have my first show that I'll be headlining October 5th in Clarksville, Tennessee. So
Oh man,
that'll be my first.
congratulations.
Appreciate it. My first 45-minute set, my first headlining set. So a lot of my writing focus has been going towards that and just making sure that I got a tight 45 and
Hmm.
just continue to build on this hour.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, dope, man, dope. Well, Jay, this is the part of the episode where I like to give my guests the final word. whether
Okay,
that be a piece of advice, words of encouragement, or a quote to live by. You can say all three, or you can say one of the three. It's up to you.
got you. Okay. Let me think, man. What helped me a lot is just not letting fear paralyze me. I think for a while, especially with stand up, because I dabbled in stand up in 2017, a little bit in 2018, but I would let the fear kind of paralyze me from really hitting the stage. So I would go to these comedy rooms and I would watch other comedians do their thing. Um, I would sign up sometime on the list, but then just sit in the back, just hoping they wouldn't call me. It was a lot of fear that went into it, man. But in
Yeah.
2022 is where I really started taking the stage seriously, and I just told myself, like, the thing is, people are going to talk about you regardless.
Mhm.
Whether you're killing it out here, whether you're A-list actor and you're going crazy, or whether you're not doing anything and you
Right.
stay at home with your mom, or like people are going to talk about you regardless. So you might as well allow people to talk about you while you're pursuing your dreams, while you're going at it 110%, and just not letting fear be the controlling factor. So that's my biggest thing, man. Just attacking your dreams and don't let fear hold you back.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother. For
Yeah,
real. Yeah. That's the truth. A lot of us, get in our own way, get in our own head
for
about
sure,
certain things, and we let it stop us.
for
Uh,
sure.
but yeah, you got to
Especially
push.
nowadays with how everything has to be on social media, is like the world is watching you
Hmm.
either fail or succeed. You know what I mean, in a sense. So
Right.
I think that just adds that extra layer of fear, especially when it comes to like trying to do something new. Because coming
Hmm.
from acting to stand up, I'm sure a lot of people's like, "Oh, Jay, what do you think you doing stand up now? Or you think you're comedian?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but you can't let that deter you. You can't let people seeing you posting flyers about a show, and then you go to the show and there's not a lot of people there, and you still
Right.
post it because
Right.
you're really just showing the process. You're showing,
Yes.
yeah, I'm doing these shows and it's 5 to 7 people in the audience, and yeah, I might not have done great, but throughout the years of me doing stand up, people have seen the progress, and just I've been showing them the whole time. So, um, yeah, and I'm just proud of myself for not letting fear keep me away from the stage, because for a while I kind of was like, I'm gonna just stick to acting and
Yeah.
let stand up be what it be, and I was trying to be okay with that, but something kept, like you said earlier, when it stays on your mind, it must mean that it's
Meant for
God,
you.
telling you,
Yeah.
hey, you need to give it a shot. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, man, you just got to face those fears. Everything that you want in life is on the other side of fear.
Absolutely, man.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Anderson.
My guy, I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.